Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Raceface GT3 Sprint Series Season 10, Round 5. My name is Stephen Koenig, and joining me in the box for this evening is the one, the only, Jonathan Price, who's going to be in a Porsche. Jonathan, how are you this evening?
Good evening, Stephen. Yes, I'm going to be in a Porsche, but not tonight. Doing very well in yourself. We are at Nurburgring, the shorter version, not the long version tonight. And we're about to go sprint racing in the Raceface GT3 Sprint Series.
Yeah, going and having a bit of fun at the Nurburgring GP Stricker circuit, if I can put it that way. A difficult circuit.
I told you it sounds like you're tying a bow.
That's it.
It's tricky.
I'm going to strip my moor if go in the Afrikaans way in that. But it is a very interesting circuit. One circuit I truly do love. It's also one that I keep turning left and trying to head onto the Nurburgring, which is the more fun circuit. But let's take a look through it. We head down the main straight into Yokohama Curve. That very tight right-hander, you're actually braking while turning, is going to make things rather difficult for the drivers, especially in lap 1. We've seen this numerous of times where the guys get a little bit bottled up as they jostle for position, because you can go 4 wide, but ultimately it closes down to only one car can make that apex.
Yeah, I mean, that first sector, Stephen, is pretty tight. That whole section highlighted in red, almost, that first couple of corners, not just turn 1, looking at turn 2, 3, 4, very interesting one. That's a section that I normally struggle a little bit with. I struggle to get the flow right through there, normally lose a little bit of time. But, that's where you were talking before the race where the concertina effect can happen during the first couple of laps.
Yeah, Yokohama into Mercedes Arena does turn into a bit of arena where you got to go and punch each other's lights out to ensure you can get a position. Then you make your way all the way down to Ford Curve. Very difficult corner to go and make your way. Very deceptive. Lots of guys backing it down to first or second gear. Some can actually take it in third gear. I know, depending on the type of vehicle and depending on your gear ratios, sometimes third gear is a bit of an optimum one. Try and carry the momentum as you go down the hill into Dunlop Curve. And then you've got to really back it down the gears, down into second, get it tight onto that apex, and then open it up before you head out to the Schumacher S's, where you've just got to rely on cutting the corner just right. We've seen track limits come into play, and the guys can run into a huge amount of problem. It's where you do lose out a lot of time and can have the guys right on the back of you into the slipstream as you head into Volsteiner Curve. And once you head into Volsteiner Curve, you've got to be careful not to run out too wide. It's a changing camber that you got to swoop around. Then you go into Avonbugen, which is a short kink. Basically, you keep your foot flat. It's equivalent. It's a right-hander of turn 1 at Kyalami. You keep your foot flat and you keep going until you head into NGK, where you got to slam on the anchors as hard as you can. And in GT3 cars, I learned with the BMW GT3 in the last little bit, is you can mount those curbs as hard as possible, but you got to be so careful not to go too far over, otherwise it will flick you out before you even get to the final corner. And this is a race we did see the lead change in the final corner come last season, and it just came down to who was able to keep it all together. The sliding around does make things a little bit more difficult. So it's something we need to keep an eye out, gentlemen. But round 5, we're heading towards the end of the championship. of the Raceface GT3 Sprint Series Season 10. And I gotta say, the drivers, you can start to feel the tensions. You can start to feel the guys trying to figure out what's going to be best for them to maximize the positions.
Absolutely, you've said it. We've gone halfway. 4 races are done and dusted. We've got 4 races to come. And we're approaching the business end of the championship. There's no more finding your feet anymore, Stephen. And around a track like Nurburgring, there's a couple of corners that you can actually take a lot quicker than what your mind tells you to. And especially that last chicane, the NGK chicane. Wonder if we will see the sparks fly through that chicane tonight. But it's a track to get your flow right as we have a look at the Lego car. You gotta love that Lego car if you're on Kleinhans. Hopefully we'll be able to keep it in one piece tonight. We'll have to have a look at that one a bit more.
Yeah, and taking a look through our standings while all the cars are warming up, getting ready to go, the Hybrid Academy leading out. So Ryan Otten's currently on the screen, is leading out the championship with 200 points. Second to that is Daniel Demetrius Petro, who has come out and properly taken the fight out to Daniel, and let's see what he will be able to do. There he is in the Lamborghini. And then third place is Bashir Jadwat. He's looking to try and maximize his points as well. I'm trying to find him down on the listing. But Bash has been having a bit of a to and fro every time in the car. The Porsche having a good time and a bad time at the same time for the drivers.
He's actually, Bash has actually been very similar in the Porsche to what I was in the Lambo when I was driving the Lamborghini. You go out guns blazing for the first half of the race, and then it's just as if the car goes away from him, and he starts dropping those lap times. But Stephen, last week, if I'm not mistaken, we had 1 Genesis car, and tonight it looks like we've got 2 Genesis cars on a Wednesday evening.
No, we did have 2 Genesis cars last week.
Did we have 2?
We had 2, but unfortunately both didn't finish.
Apologies.
Nicholas Manuel was part of the one, and they had load shedding issues coming into play, along with some unfortunate luck.
Were they left in the dark?
Yeah. So there was a couple of people having a bit of an issue. But to everyone out there in Raceface, out on the grandstands, we'd like to give a warm welcome. We've got Daniel De Villiers saying hello and good luck, everyone. We've got Josh Herbst going and saying how's it. Robert McCall, unfortunately, they got load shedding again, so we're going to be missing out on Morgan. That's a bit of a bugger. I mean, man.
No,
heart goes out to...
It's never nice to lose out on a race due to load shedding.
Yeah, Daniel Rowe giving in the optimal times on the track, 52s in qualifying, 53, 54s in race. We'll see how close you are to that, Daniel. And Josh Herbst going and replying with flying. Yes, this is our pro tier that we are watching. We also do have a Pro-Am that is running simultaneously with their racing. Looking forward to seeing that. We did start including them into the recaps, and it's been some very, very interesting racing. Hansi Myberg hoping to better his time out. He actually had a problem with his graphics card that went and landed up with him further down through the field. So we've got to keep an eye out whether he will be able to get it all sorted out. He did a lot of work onto it and hoping to improve. I know eyes are on this man here, Unrik Sikkers, who actually scored his first ever pro podium, part of the Hybrid Academy and EG Sims Road to Pro project, if I can put it like that. He landed up in 3rd place, so he's hoping to keep up that charge. Let's see how it's going to work out. So far, times are starting to get in. Guys are starting to get going. But Nurburg being a very tricky track, as we see Jason McGregor quite easily getting caught out through the NGK chicane. And that's all it takes. Just going and hooking it up wrong and landing up with a problem. First on the board, though, Ryan Otten's with a 154.057. Bash jumping in with a 54.5. Sanjin Pillay, 155.01. But he instantly gets beaten out. Nicholas Manuel jumps himself up into 2nd place, and he has done a 154.4. So he's trying to close down the distance. Going to be an interesting one, Jan. We're starting to see these battles creeping up and down through the field. New names going and having a bit of fun. And I've got to say, I'm really, really looking forward to this. I see a couple of also drivers that are meant to be here. We have got Eric Kirstein saying good luck to all the drivers. Good to see him out. And Keegan Sanderson saying let's go PWSR. Unfortunately, he is out at the moment. He will be supporting and watching with the classmates. So there we go. PWSR, Cameron de Bastos out on the screen for all the classmates to see. And that is good to see. Cosmic Politician, what's the difference between Pro and Pro-Am? Well, let's give a quick explanation here. We ran grading servers, which basically the drivers had enough time to put in 10 consecutive laps, and they take the average fastest, well, the average lap time that it took you to do those 10 laps. Now, your Pro-Am drivers missed out on it by 0.2 of a second being the top, but it also does include some AM drivers in that field. So it's all time based in the grading server, but they had to do 10 laps in a row without going and landing up with one wheel off on the dirt. If you do that, it invalidates a lap time and you got to redo your 10 laps. So that's how it was broken up.
Essentially the 40 quickest times get Pro, and then next 40 Pro-Am, next 40 gets Am or Gold. So it's essentially, Stephen, as you said, it's purely lap time based, or not in this case lap time based, overall time based to do those 10 consecutive laps.
Yeah, well, there we go. You've made it a bit easier, and I was explaining in circles. So, yeah, Mike Van Rooyen saying no Aston Martins, disappointed.
Yeah, the Aston has kind of fallen away. I mean, it's
a 2019 car.
Yeah, it seems like the Aston is very much taking the road of the Bentley. They slowly but surely disappearing. Nobody really racing them anymore. Does seem like the mid-engine cars have really taken over of late. The Ferraris, the Lambos, the Porsches. You know, a couple of seasons ago, the BMW was absolutely, you know, the grid was stacked with BMWs. Even they have faded out a little bit. So, does seem like at the current BOP settings of ACC that it does favor the mid-engine cars, except some say the McLaren. Love it or hate it.
Yeah,
that's pretty much the...
It's a double side of a coin.
Yeah.
And another thing that people do bring up is they get bored of the different cars racing the same thing over and over. So they do like to switch it up. So, Bashir Jadwat up into first place with a 153.8. Ryan Ottens in second place. Giovanni Porzero in third place, along with Nicholas Manuel. SESAs in fifth. Sixth, Cameron de Bastos. Qin Duplessis in seventh. Alan Patterson in eighth. PWSR car. So there we go. Nice to show off another PWSR car. Daniel de Villiers in ninth place. He was actually going and jumping in the chat a little bit earlier, so busy texting and driving. He's in ninth place. Justin Lotus in 10th. Actually, scratch that. He goes down to 11th because Ryan Ottens puts himself into first. Bash goes and retakes it. Giovanni's in third. Nicholas Manuel in fourth. Sanjan Pillay into fifth. SES House sticks himself into sixth. So Air Force One has landed. He immediately drops into seventh place.
Still waiting for the Eagle.
Yeah, no, I couldn't get it working. I can't get it working for some odd reason. I've got to play around with more and more settings. That's gonna do it, guys. Got to do it. So Bashir Jadwat currently leading out the field with Ryan Ottens right behind him. But take a look at this, the difference. 0.040. I mean, these are just incredible of what the drivers are doing. And honestly, what we've seen with this this whole championship and the last championship is I can't guess who's going to come first, second, or third because we've seen it turn on its head so many times.
I mean, we've talked about it, Stephen. I'm not going to make a top 3 prediction. Ryan Ottens has been very dominant this season so far. I'm going to say so far because it feels as if the rest of the grid is getting closer and closer and closer to him each race. So, no predictions. And this being a sprint race, anything can happen and normally will happen. So, let's see who comes out on top at the end of the evening, at the end of 55 minutes worth of racing.
Well, I'm going to catch Michael van Rooyen out here because looking at his profile picture, that is a fantastic racing Barber Dodge, I would say, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on that, Michael van Rooyen. Yes, I've
Eagle Eye Steven.
Eagle Eye, and because they were really cool cars, but they were.
And I'm going to say that's
they were single seaters.
Okay. And that almost looks like a Cobra on Daniel Rowe's profile picture, if I'm not mistaken.
No.
I'm going to get taken out now.
No. VW Super Cup.
Is that a Polo? Sorry, a Polo.
That is a VW Super Cup. Oh, my heavens, Daniel Rowe, please forgive my co-commentator.
The best part of it all is, you know, we actually chatted with Daniel at the track next to his car.
Graham Nathan would take you out. I'm just saying.
I'm waiting for the message from Daniel.
No. Graham Nathan would be the one to take you out of the picture. We will lose you due to that. But at the moment, it is a race at the top. Daniel DeMartros-Petro, a 153.6, getting ahead of Bashir Jadwat, who's a 0.15 behind. Ryan Otten's in third place. Giovanni Porzero, Nicholas Manuel, Ronaldo Boersma, Sanjin Pillay, Essie Hayes, Kewin Duplessis, Johan van der Merwe, Cameron de Bastos, Alan Patterson, Justin Lotus, Darren Miller, Daniel de Villiers in 15th, Heinrich de Wet in 16th, 17th is Ulrich Sichers, Jan Kleinans, Jason McGregor, Jean Viviers, along with Tini Nkube, Tinas Buertha, Charles Darden, Hansi Myberg in 24th, 25th is Dean Kabasa, 26th Leclerc Bassan, Jaco Krobler, Ramona Jonker, and Christopher Radloff rounding out our field. Interesting that we've actually come across a couple of these drivers this past weekend, like Ramona Jonker. We came across him, and a couple of others as well. So it's good to see the guys having a huge amount of fun out there. And yeah, Grumpy Nathan. If that doesn't, no, genuine, that was his nickname for a long time. Grumpy Nathan was the nickname. He even said it live on Ignition TV on Rapid Motion years and years ago.
So he's owning it.
Oh man, that's one way to do it. How's that? Small world, but we got quite a few people that listen out to those type of names. But we're getting to see the future talent out on the circuit at the moment. The pro tier of the Raceface GT3 Sprint Series. The guys giving it their absolute all. And Janneman, I've got to say, I'm really, really looking forward to this. A 55-minute race with one mandatory pit stop that the drivers are going to have to deal with.
Quick, interesting thing. Second, third, fourth place. Exactly the same times.
What?
Oh, no, sorry. Third and fourth place, exactly the same time. Sorry, I had to put my glasses on. Bash is 0.320 behind. Ryan Ottens and Porzio 0.360 behind. So that is how close it is at the top, with Daniel DeMartros-Petro setting the quickest time, 153.437. So
yeah.
Do you think we have a race on our hands?
I think we have a race on our hands, and if you guys want to keep an eye out, in the description of the video, we do have live timing out for you guys to keep an eye out on the clock. And I highly suggest not only to watch the stream, but also to have live timing off to one side, that you get to see all the stuff and figuring out what's going to be able to be happening here. And I know that you're going to have the likes of Luke Addison. He was practicing earlier on the server. We got to see it in practice, and I'm sure he's going and keeping an eye out on the Genesis team, much like Daniel Rose keeping an eye out on the hybrid team to ensure that they can go through. PWSR, they're going to be communicating with one another. ZRC as well. There's so many different teams, so many different elements that we have got on the circuit that the guys are going to be keeping an eye out and chatting about throughout the race. And I'd love to just have, just some sort of comms that I can hear what they're talking about, and I'm sure it's just going to be an influx of information that's going through each of the drivers' minds.
I think it's something we need to work on next season, like they have in Formula One, Team Radio, where we can, just listen to what is said. Do you think that's a good idea?
I think it would be an interesting one. It would be. We would have to listen to it.
We'll do it delayed.
Yeah, we're going to have to do delayed because...
We'll have to get a third person just listening and beeping out everything.
Yeah.
And some drivers are just going to be long beep. That's all that you're going to hear.
Yeah, well, that's it. It's going to be a very, very long beep. Taking a look, we got Saki, the Team Saki out there. We've got Garage 59 in the McLaren. And, we've got quite a few different chats. We've also got Bago jumping in and saying, what has he missed? Well, Bago, you missed everything. All right, so let me take you through this. One, we've changed the circuits. We're around Silverstone, and they graded Silverstone and made it completely different. Looks different, but it's still Silverstone. You can't believe it. Then we had Bashir Jadwat. He ran for president, while Ryan Ottens went and ran for deputy president. Daniel Demetrios-Petro was then the general that was going around and absolutely dominating. And everyone got signed by Nissan because they're bringing back the Delta Wing. You missed it all. Like, it just happened now, buddy. They're bringing back the Delta Wing.
Say the GTR.
No, the Delta Wing. Didn't you hear me when I said
so
the Delta Wing?
The Delta Wing is now classified as a GT3 car.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but they were the one with the no roof, because if they put the roof on, it counts as a prototype. So they took the roof off to make it faster and sit within GT3. See, how's that one?
Interesting. I lost you at the beginning of the story, but anyway.
I think most people do. Daniel Demetrios-Petro out in first place, but gets beaten out right at the last by Bashir Jadwat. Ryan Otten's currently in third. Giovanni Porzera in fourth. And Nicholas Manuel, he is up 0.2 of a second on his time. Will he be able to jump his way up through the field? He can try to put himself at least into third place. But well done to Bash, putting himself smack bang in first place. And let's see.
Stephen, I'm looking at those times, and if things stay as they are, just having a quick look in the final moments of qualifying, will Nicholas Manuel be able to move up
into fourth
place? But the point that I'm trying to make, Ryan Ottens, the driver that has been dominant throughout this season, is sitting in third place.
Yeah,
I think he's got a fight on his hands tonight. Remember, we were talking about the grid getting closer and closer. Let's see what happens tonight.
Yeah, here at Nurburgring for round 5 is going to be a proper close battle. And while we have a little bit of time, everyone getting onto the grid, we do want to also give a bit of a shout out to Paul Herber, who had his second child. So lots of babies in this last week. So well done.
Good luck, Paul.
Yeah, Paul Herber, one of our admins, who would like to say a special congratulations from everyone here at Raceface on your second kid. So let's take a look through the field and let's see who's going with it. So starting in first place, Bashir Jadwat, followed by Daniel Demetrios-Petro, Ryan Ottens, Nicholas Manuel, Giovanni Porzera, Daniel De Villiers, Ronaldo Boersma, Quinn Duplessis, SES Dace, Alan Patterson, Johan van der Merwe, Sunjin Pillay, Unrik Sikkers, Darren Miller, Cameron de Bastos, Charles Darden, Heinrich de Wet, Johan Kleinans, Justin Lotus, Leclerc Basson, Ramona Jonker, Jason McGregor, Jean Viviers, Tinian Kube, Tianis Bertha, Hansi Myberg, Jaco Krobler, Dean Kabasa, and rounding out in 29th position is Christopher Radloff. We haven't seen too much of Christopher going and racing this season, but now it is game time. You can see all the cars looking a little bit funny with noses towards the ground, and that is purely on the fact that they are up on the jacks. They make sure they get nice and heated on the tires. They're waiting for the timer to count down before they get going on their rolling start. They will have 3 corners to literally heat up the brakes and get going. And it's all eyes on Bashir Jadwat and Daniel Demetrios-Petro, hoping to get the jump up on the field. But gentlemen, this is going to be a proper run to the wire. And as we got Tim with the camera, let's take a look and show off what's going on. And there it is. That is the field.
Yeah, nice big grid tonight. You know, we're going to have these 29 cars barreling down the pit straight into turn 1. There's a couple of drivers that are going to try and get their noses in front on that first turn. So I think this is going to be an interesting one. Let's see what Ryan Ottens can do behind Daniel Preto and Bashir Jadwat. I think Jadwat is going to try and lead this charge, and let's see if that Porsche, Stephen, can stick with him tonight and not fade away like we've seen in the recent races.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one as they get going. And let's see how it's all going to turn out. Our timing tower a little bit weird at the moment. There it is. So, and drive-through penalty for Ryan Ottens. Being too quick off the line, got caught out. So, I mean, this is going to be a run for him as he's got essentially 3 pit stops and one of the Genesis cars taking out Bash. That was an ultimate run, and I think that was Giovanni that landed up with that. Was it Giovanni? But we've seen side by side of Daniel, but that was Giovanni that hit the brakes a little bit late, and Bash unfortunately getting caught out, now having to fight his way through. Nicholas Manuel dropping a position as Ronaldo Buesma pushes him out wide. Bash down into 5th place, now needs to try and figure out how he can get past the Genesis cars that are ahead of him. Ryan Ottens, who's got that drive-through penalty, needs to be under a huge amount of stress at the moment because that's not how he wants to start off his race. And with 1 mandatory pit stop, it's all on the line as the drivers make their way through.
Yeah, we're going to see side-by-side close racing during these first couple of laps as we have a look at Nicholas Manuel. He's got Bashir Jadwat just behind him, and just behind Jadwat we've got S3 Racing and De Villiers as well. They've pulled out a little bit of a gap over the rest of the field, but these cars are running very close, and out in front we've got Daniel Petro and Ryan Ottens just behind him. But Ryan Stephen will have to serve that penalty. So as we have a look at the field coming past, I mean, Daniel De Villiers running at the back of this little train, but Sanjan Pillay not too far behind. Dean Miller not too far behind. Sorry, my timing screen got a bit of a hiccup there.
Well, it's interesting to see one of the brakes, and this is what we were concerned about with the GT3 cars, especially with the brakes not heated up. You get into turn 1 and you land up in a world of hurt because you can climb onto the anchors as hard as possible, but unfortunately you can get caught up in not slowing the car down fast enough, and with trying to avoid looking on the inside and try and streak across. And unfortunately, there was nowhere to go for any of the drivers. Darren Miller, though, going up against SES Styles, trying to follow after Daniel De Villiers just ahead of him as they fight it out side by side as they make their way through the Mercedes arena. And now hard onto the brakes, really trying to sling it right into the back.
I mean, this is a very tight section that they're going through now, and Miller is sticking to the back of De Villiers, S-Razor. So, Stephen, I think this is going to be an interesting one. The thing that I wanted to say is Ryan Ottens decided to stay out. He's going to do another lap before he serves that drive-through penalty. Only have 3 laps to do it, so we'll have to see what he does as we watch this battle between SES Racing and Miller behind him.
Yeah, and then we've got Daniel De Villiers going after Nicholas Manuel, who is also trying to take a bit of a look. But I'm looking at a train a little bit further back. Sanjan Pillay, Leclerc Besson, Jason McGregor, and Johan van der Merwe all over one another and on a proper charge. And this is going to be a proper run. As you can see, Jason McGregor looking for that inside line, unable to do anything. Leclerc Besson having a fantastic time right up against the back of Sanjan Pillay. Sanjan getting a little bit more drive, though, out of the corner, which tells me he's a little bit more comfortable with aero at the moment. Now, Jason McGregor trying to look for the inside line. He's one of the very few front-engine cars that are racing with us here this evening, and really showing that Mercedes is not out of the equation just yet. Johan van der Merwe in the McLaren going and battling it. So this is going to be all a very interesting time. And Ryan Ottens diving into the pits. So he's going to be falling down the order like no tomorrow as the field comes by. But I do feel that at the start of the race, we witnessed guys having just cold brakes and getting caught out with a massive concertina effect. And I won't lie, that's more of a racing incident than anything. I mean, we've all done it before. Down into turn 1, you try and stand on the brakes and there's just nothing there.
Yeah, I think it was, also a case of being a little bit blindsided when you're running in a tight pack like that or bunched up like that. Very easy to spot or miss the brake markers, and all of a sudden you see the cars braking hard in front of you. Remember, turn one, hard braking zone. Almost one of the hardest braking zones on the track. So maybe a bit blindsided, Stephen. Just saw Christopher Radloff going off carrying a Audi Sport marker board along with him.
Oh, Christopher Adloff getting caught out, and also see marker on Heinrich de Wet. And I just want to make sure, going to go back a little bit. So there's de Wet ahead of him in the Porsche. So these two came to blows with one another. Christopher Radloff trying to go around up on the inside, going to go outside, little bit of contact between the two, and Lantorf off circuit trying to pull himself back on. So Christopher Radloff, unfortunately, being stuck on the outside, not going to help him, as he had Dean Kabasa all over the back of him, putting the pressure on. Dean Kabasa just keeping it all nice and simple as they get going once again. But a couple of guys diving into the pits right at the start. Ryan Ottens, who served his penalty. Then we got Kevin Duplessis has completed his first pit stop. Giovanni Porzero, Hansi Mayberg, Jean Viviers, and Heinrich Sickers and Justin Lotus. So we do have one retirement that came through, and I suspect that might have been one of the cars that were involved in that turn one incident. Unfortunately, the guys came to blows with one another. Jason McGregor, though, has got Jan van der Merwe, two of them squeezing each other. And Jason McGregor just managing to eke by, with van der Merwe going and sharing a bit of that red paint.
Yeah, just a little bit of paint swapping, no harm, no foul, as they follow each other around. So Jason McGregor managed to make his way past, a little bit wide there on Van der Merwe, and that's going to kill his drive, and that's going to allow Charles Darden to close down that gap quite significantly and start to put him under pressure. So, Stephen, interesting, these type of races, how you can find yourself in one corner in a battle with one driver, and a couple of corners later, you're all of a sudden in a battle with a totally different driver. That's just how quickly this race evolves sometimes.
Yeah, that is it. And we remember, we got that mandatory pit stop that all the drivers have to keep that in mind. They have got unlimited tires, as you see in Kubek climbing onto the back of Charles Darden. This is a battle for 14th and 15th place, as it does look like Van der Merwe is starting to open up the distance. Lamborghini closing down on the Ferrari. So 55-minute race, one mandatory pit stop. Ryan Ottens has now completed his pit stop and has done his drive through, so he's now getting himself going. But first of everyone that's completed that pit stop is Kevin Duplessis, so keep an eye out on him, as he's going to be on a proper charge to close down the distance and get as close as possible to the top 10 in these 47 minutes left of the race. So Daniel Dimitros Brito is doing everything he can to lead out the field with a 3.9 second gap. Ronaldo Boersma in second place, along with Bashir Jadwat. Nicholas Manuel is right onto the back of him. So Bash going and recovering after that turn one incident where they came to blows, unfortunately. Daniel De Villiers ahead of SES. Cameron De Bastos getting the jump on his teammate Darren Miller, who's now got Kleinans all over the back of him. So the ZRC team right onto the back of Miller, who is trying to push his teammate a little bit hard, saying, go buddy, go, I can't let this McLaren get on the inside of me, you need to open up the distance, but at the same time, I need your slipstream to carry on. I don't need to be left for dead right now.
Yeah, absolutely. That Lego car of Kleinans is really starting to put the pressure on De Bastos and maybe trying to find his way past. I think the two PWSR cars, as you said, Stephen, really need to start working together. Otherwise, Cameron De Bastos is going to come under real pressure. Miller is going to come under real pressure from Kleinans with De Bastos out in front. But Miller's does look like he's struggling to keep with De Bastos, and that is going to allow Kleinans the opportunity to really put him under pressure. Not as close this time as we saw Kleinans a lap or so ago, but really still keeping in touch. And behind Kleinans, we've got Sanjan Pillay as well.
Yeah, and then this battle going on, Daniel De Villiers with SES to Hayes going and having a good fight at one another. Within 0.3, one of our closest battles in the top 10. You can see how much curb they are taking, and Daniel really going and pushing the limits of what he can do. He's trying to close down the gap to the likes of Nicholas Manuel, but Nicholas is making this a rather difficult run for him. Only 1.8 seconds difference between the two of them, but Essie's not going to back down. He's going to let that Air Force One get into the toe, looks for the inside line, and just missing out.
Yeah, but that was extremely close under braking. I mean, Essie very late on the brakes, and De Villiers just moving in front of him, just closing the door in his face. Does look like he lost a little bit of drive, lost a little bit of contact with De Villiers, but he's going to try and make that time back up, following that tighter line, trying to get more drive out of the corner. But at this stage, De Villiers just soaking up that pressure from S-Rays behind him, and S-Rays will have to, I think we'll have to get that Ferrari a lot closer second time around, come that pit straight, to try and get that inside line come turn one.
It's something to keep an eye out for. And then you've got Darren Miller and Clay Nance are in a bit of a battle. Charles Darden and Tinian Kube are going at one another, with Heinrich de Vet right onto the back of him. Sorry, I need to get my reading glasses out.
I've got my glasses on.
Yeah, some of us, we need to try and figure out how to...
Old age is not your friend?
No, that's it. And I tend to get names a little bit wrong as well. So I do apologize about that. It's
something we pride ourselves in, butchering surnames.
Well, mistakes can be had, as we're all human, as we've seen with the racers making small little slides that's slowly chowing up those tires of all the drivers. So it's something they need to be very, very well aware of. Charles Darden, though, has got...
there's contact.
Tinian Kube catches Charles Darden into the wall, and it does look like Heinrich de Vet saying, thank you very much, I'm getting past this, and Kube actually slowing down. Ramon Yonka getting past and saying, thank you very much. And Charles Darden trying to... secondary contact. And that was... Who was that? That was with Dean Kabasa. They had secondary contact as Charles Darden was trying to get back into the pits. So a bit of chaos happening while everyone was trying to get themselves back into the pits. And, oh man, you hate to see it. We were talking about mistakes. Well, there's one.
And... yeah, we'll talk about pit entry a little bit later on, but it's something that can happen at the last chicane if a car wants to go into the pits, where he's going to run through that last chicane slower than the cars, not taking pit entry and going for the last corner.
Now, it's something we do need to keep an eye out, as Kleinans is right onto the back of Miller. And if we go into the helmet cam as they make their way down the hill, you can see standing on the power, really doing everything possible. Late braking and overshoots a corner completely. Just missing past Miller, and Sanjan Pillay says thank you very much. So we managed to get that on board. Tim the cameraman going and having the luck of... Yep, there we go. Some say Tim the cameraman made the GT1 class out of a GT3. How's that?
Wait, what?
Yes. Didn't you know the history of a GT1 class? It was originally because they threw the Group C's out, so the prototypes weren't allowed. So to keep the rules...
I'm trying to figure out how you make a GT1 out of a GT3. That's the part I'm not getting.
Back in the day of GT1, GT2, and GT3, the only difference in them was a slight bit of difference in aero and power.
Okay.
Go look it up. Go look it up. They didn't have all the fancy stuff.
On the outside of Bushma, just in front of him. He's going to try and go around the outside, but now he's going to have the inside line. Don't really think he's got the drive. He's going to stick with it.
Oh, bit of contact between the two, but Bushma was able to go and counter steer, get that BMW back. But be sure, both the tires taking a bit of flack there of the likes of Bash and Ronaldo Bushma.
Pretty sure now he has got Bushma's attention.
Yeah, and he's got Nicholas Manuel's attention as well, closing down the distance right behind him. So Nicholas Manuel seeing this little scrap going on and saying, right, I got to close this down, get a little bit into the fight, as we see Daniel Demetrius Petro dropping down the order. No.
Oh. He went to the grandstands.
Daniel Demetrius Brito going and having a server issue, launches himself out, and oh, that is
So this
gutting.
is now the battle for the lead.
Yep. This has just changed it up. We got asked what are our predictions for first, second, and third. Well,
We don't know.
The only prediction I can tell you is Tim's got the camera, Jim's got the radio, and we've got the mic.
And I definitely can say that a car will finish in first.
Yeah, in what condition? We're not 100% sure.
Not sure.
We've seen guys finish on 3 wheels, but Ronaldo Boersma now getting informed he's in first place, and Bash going, all right, buddy, let's get this going. It's time to put the fight up. With 39 minutes of this race to go, it's all on the cards. Nicholas Manuel, who's now inherited 3rd place, sees the fight just ahead of him, and what's gonna be a very interesting fight is Bash is currently 3rd in the championship. Be that in mind. Bash is currently 3rd in the championship. He's just had Daniel Demetrius Brito go and have a server disconnect, which means he falls out of maximizing points, and Ryan Ottens is all the way at the back of the field. So if Bash can get it right, he can score some valuable points for the championship to move him up into 2nd place, because there's only 2 points separating Bashir Jadwat and Daniel in the championship.
Yeah, and I'm watching that Porsche of Bash. You know, he's all over the place, all over the rear wing of Boersma. But how good is it doing its tires, trying to fight Boersma that hard, Stephen? Is he hurting those tires, and will the tires go away from him later on in the race? Again, having a little look there, but not close enough this time. Really trying to put Boersma under a lot of pressure, but does look like Boersma's really soaking it up at this stage. That BMW to me looks a lot more planted than the Porsche of Bash behind it, and Nicholas Manuel in 3rd is just lying and lurking and waiting, watching the battle out in front.
Well, that's it, and Ronaldo is going to be having a little bit of a sweating moment, because just ahead of him you can see, well, behind him you can see the mirrors getting full, but ahead of him he's starting to gain up to the rest of the field, and is going to start realizing he's going to have to work through a couple of the traffic to ensure that he gets past and not get boxed in. So this is turning into a proper little fight for our drivers, having to figure out how it's all going to go. Bash, though, is hoping that his tires don't walk away from him, and this is one of our closest battles. The second of the closest battles is Johan van der Merwe and Ryan Ottens battling it out. Remember, Q and Duplessis is first to everyone completed their pit stops. Giovanni Porzero is 2nd of everyone that's completed their pit stops. Ryan Otten is 3rd of everyone that's completed his pit stop. So this is something to bear in mind with. And we spoke to Ryan Ottens this past weekend. He said he has to keep his head in check and not get caught out by the competition. He's got an insanely quick competition, and he wants that crown to be held for the sprint championship right towards the end. So it's going to be an interesting. And when we spoke to Ronaldo Boersma this weekend, he turned around and said his goal is to get the checkered flag. Come hell or high water, that is what he's going to do. And at the moment, he's putting on a great show.
He's not doing too bad of a job at this stage, you know, getting to the checkered flag. But this race, Stephen, still 36 minutes odd to go. Anything can still happen, and Ryan Ottens has got his work cut out for him if he wants to maximize points tonight, because things are not in his favor at this stage. He's going to lose out, I think, no matter what, to other drivers, especially Bash, at this stage as things stand now.
Well, Daniel De Villiers has got SES to hasten. I've been keeping a close eye on this battle, as Daniel hasn't been running away. He's actually been slightly slower than Air Force One, who's slowly been getting into the mirrors and constantly pushing him offline, ensuring that he can go for that spot. And that's allowing Cameron to slowly close up the distance as well. So we're getting into this moment of when are people going to pit? Who's going to pull the trigger first? Because they've got to bear in mind, 18th position is Q and Duplessis, who is really on a proper charge at the moment. So he's in 18th place and is closing down the battles to our front. So who's going to pull the trigger first? Well, We're about to find out.
I think it's going to be maybe two sides of the extremes. We've seen some of the drivers putting very early, but I think the rest might leave it as late as possible. See what's happening in the race, especially if you're in a battle like this that we're seeing between Bushma and Jadwat, and we've got Miller just behind them. I don't think any of them has got plans of pitting right now unless Bash is feeling that he's getting hauled up behind Bushma and decide to dive into the pits to see if he can get the undercut. But what's happening 30 seconds behind this?
You can see the lockup. That wheel coming to a stop. And not often that we get a close-up camera angle of a wheel lockup, especially on the front. And that has just broken the tone. Yep, well done, Tim. And that's allowed Nicholas Manuel to get onto the back of him. But it makes me wonder, Bash has got some damage on the front of his car from early on in the race. Is it starting to play into effect now where the tires are getting worn out? And Nicholas Manuel, who is focusing on the charge, closing down the distance, is now getting involved into the fight. He's looking to see that second place and maximizing his points. A little bit further back, Daniel De Villiers and SESAs are going at one another. They're having a phenomenal run. Good ding-dong battle between them. Cameron Bastos trying to follow suit. Sanjin Pillay as Miller is off. Miller off into the dirt and trying to rejoin, and let's see. Oh, he has to dive really quickly across the track. Got to be careful about joining on the apex. He's keeping on the green, and oh, that Lambo is...
Watch the rear end.
Yeah. Let's see if we can go back a little bit and see what happened. This was a battle, and one of the Hybrid Academies going up on around the outside, and just that Lamborghini getting a tank slapper on the way through. Very, very easy to do, especially with how the camber changes on that corner, and you can get caught out. I know it doesn't matter what you're in, whether you're in a single-seater, a GT3, or even an LMP car, you get that same, get the power down as the whole car lightens up underneath you. The Lamborghini inherently having that snap oversteer, especially if you don't go and lightly get the throttle on.
Yeah, and we had also a little chat with Christian Deploy during the course of the past week. Remember, he had a similar slide on what was it, Watkins Glen?
Yes.
But and he said it is something that the Lamborghini does from time to time, apparently for no apparent reason.
I think it's just the way, if you get too aggressive on the throttle with that low TC on your slip, you land up having a bit of a problem. But if you turn the slip up too much, the TC2, so when I talk about slip, I'm talking about movement left to right. They've got a traction control for forward and back, which is called gain, and then you've got your slip, which is your left and right. Now, that can land up in a world of hurt if you're too low, but if it's too up, and what on earth has happened to Christopher Radloff? And he disconnected.
Does look like maybe some sort of mechanical failure, pedals, steering wheel, that type of thing.
I think because that came to a stop rather abruptly, and yeah, it's
normally then it's steering wheel because you still have pedals to hit the brake,
unless it just completely disconnected, which can
server disconnect.
No, where the whole system just, your steering wheel disconnects, you kick the pedal out, and unfortunately it just comes to a gradual stop. But it looks like he's retired that car and is out of the race. So we've lost Christopher Radloff due to mechanical failure that we can safely assume a mechanical failure, much like we've had other drivers as well having the same problem. Jason McGregor has got Heinrich de Wet all over the back of him. This is a battle for the top 10 at the moment. But I do want to point out, Kieran Duplessis up into 15th position. Our timing board will update, but he is now on a proper charge and becoming a viable threat for everyone in this race that still needs to do their first, get their pit stop out the way.
Yeah, it does look like, his strategy is working nicely for himself. Romano Jonker with a drive-through. So that instantly spoiled his race.
that's it. And how you score a drive through, well, that's getting into second gear as you're leaving the pits. It turns the pit limiter off. You go over that 50 k's an hour. And even if you had 51, 52, we've got Bob down there with the speed gun. And, well, Bob's a bit of a stickler when it comes to the rules.
Yeah. But might that not also be track limits?
No, it might. No, he was coming out of the pits. I think that was getting on the power a bit too early. And we got Daniel DeMarcos going, and oh man, this is
another generator giving up the ghost.
Yeah, we had this last night where Chase Herald said that his generator gave up the ghost. Now it looks like Daniel DeMarcos going and having the same thing. Unfortunately, having the generator die. He was on such a phenomenal run and really wanted to cross the line. Daniel, heart goes out to you, buddy. Heart goes out to you. There's nothing. I know that's a bit of a sure, man.
Yeah. I've said it last night, and I'm going to say it again. I've had that happen to me. It's really not a nice feeling, you know, when everything just dies on you, and you know the generator no longer is running.
Yeah. Unfortunately, and this is the nature of the game, especially here in the world of sim racing out in South Africa. But first place, Ronaldo Boersma, along with Bashir Jadwat in second place. Third is Nicholas Manuel. SESA's up into fourth place. Fifth, Daniel de Villiers. Cameron de Bastos into sixth. Sanjan Pillay is in seventh with Gian Kleinans right behind him. Leclerc Basson, Jason McGregor, Tiernas Buerta in 11th place. 12th is Darren Miller, Dean Kabasa, Qin Duplessis in 14th. 15th is Jaco Krobler. Giovanni Porzero currently is out and is second of everyone that has completed all these pit stops. He's trying to chase down Qin Duplessis. Ryan Otten's in 17th position. Johan van der Merwe in 18th. Anrik Sikkers is in 19th. Jean Viviers in 20th. Along with Hansi Myberg, Justin Lotus, Heinrich de Vet, Ramon Yonka, and Charles Darden still circulating around the circuit. We had 29 cars start the race. 25 remain due to mechanical issues that, well, we put them as mechanical issues, whether it be server disconnects because it counts like an engine blowing up or a gearbox losing its gears. It's the same type of thing for anyone out there, and that's where we put it into that same box. Mechanical issues, unfortunately, being force majeure, and that's why the drivers are out.
Yeah, having a look, Bash really closing up under braking onto Boersma. Does look like Nicholas Manuel has fallen back a little bit. He's now 2 seconds behind this little battle, but Stephen, that Porsche really looks amazing on the brakes, really closing up that gap under the braking.
So you're a Mercedes fan?
I've driven one.
Yeah, you raced one, yes. But yeah, you're absolutely dead right. The 992 GT3 Porsche under braking is looking great, but it seems to have where it gets grip and loses grip. It has to and fro's. It battles here and there, and the drivers are going to have to try and figure out what's going to work. Ronaldo Boersma doing everything he can to power away. We know that the BMW is fantastic on its tires and has a even tire wear compared to the Porsche. But the Porsche at the moment definitely going and scoring on the braking, diving right into the corners as deep as possible. And it makes you wonder if he's going to be able to change tires. But looking at the rest of the field, the only ones that seemingly have changed tires is Heinrich de Vet and Charles Darden. He got some repair work done on his car. He landed up with damage. But from what I can see here, Heinrich de Vet is the only one that's changed tires, and he's also in a Porsche. So that leads me to believe that the Porsche is going to take a bit of a hammering during the course of the race.
And with all that said, you've given me great confidence for the weekend.
I'm in a GT4, you're in a GT3. Yeah.
In a Porsche.
In a Porsche. So we both got the same problem. Tiernas Buerta, he's having a great time out. Go to a McLaren. Why not? Darren Miller catching up to Tiernas Buerta, doing a fantastic job as he tries to go under braking. You can see going a little bit wide out of the NGK chicane and really having to get back onto the power as they go down the hill. And to go and show you what turn 1 looks like, here's a helmet cam of Darren Miller as he makes his way into turn 1. You can see as they're turning, they're having to brake, slow the car down into a very, very sharp hairpin and try and get themselves sorted. Now, it's very, very easy for drivers that aren't too familiar with the circuit to take it too tight, and instead of opening up the wheel, you keep holding that inside line, because naturally that's where you feel the corner needs to go, and you actually go landing off the dirt. So a lot of the drivers having to get that through of get into the corner as you hit the apex. You've got to straighten up the wheel as quick as possible to go and make your way around. Justin Lotus getting around Hansi Myberg. Hansi not going to get involved in that fight as he launches past. So Justin Lotus getting a bit of a jump. Johan Kleinans, he's onto the back of Sanjan Pillay as they keep up the charge. And Bashir Jadwat going after Ronaldo Boersma. Those are our 3 currently on-track battles of note.
Yeah, I mean, very, very close battle out in front. I mean, Bash right under the rear wing. Boersma covering that inside line, moving back just before turning on that final chicane. Both of them taking a lot of corner there, Stephen. Does seem like the Porsche is really coping well with all the cornering and all the curbs.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one, and Ronaldo Boersma is feeling the pressure. He's able to get a little bit more power down the straight line. You can see keeping to the inside line. He's going to get Bash out on the outside. Comes across the nose. And Bash having to really hit the brakes as hard as he can. Can he go for a cutback though? Trying to keep a much tighter line. As Ronaldo Boersma leaning on the pressure. And Bashir Jadwat properly coming back at him. Looks around the outside. Not able to get the power on just as yet. Going to try it once again. The RMC driver doing everything he can after the Genesis Esports Racing Club as they get the power down. The Kluberson, I see, has pulled into the pits, so he's getting his pit stop done and dusted as we got 23 minutes and 26 seconds to go left of this 55-minute race of our Raceface GT3 Sprint Series. But out in front is turning into a monstrous battle. Ronaldo Boersma is going to try and score the points.
I'm going to say it.
Don't say it.
It does look like... Okay, I'm not going to say it.
You can't say it, because if you say it, you're going to have commentators curse. Anyone that out there, commentators curse is a real thing. Any case, I'm going to mute you up, then you can say it. No one will hear you. So at the moment, no one can hear you. Say it.
I can say whatever I want.
You can try.
Well, I'm anyway going to say it. With 22 minutes to go, it does look like Bashir Jadwat has sorted out something with that Porsche compared to the previous races.
That's it, and bouncing over the curb seems to be all alright, but I'm keeping an eye.
Into the pit.
So he's pulling the trigger.
Oh, that was quick.
Oh.
That was a hot entry.
Gotta be careful.
Hot into the oven.
That's it, and now he's going to be keeping an eye, because Qin Duplessis is the man to keep an eye out for. He's made his way through the Schumacher S's, now is trying to get the power down. He needs to close down the distance to Bashir Jadwat. The stop time in the box is 5.2 seconds. From pit entry to exit is 30 seconds. So you're looking at about 35 seconds needed to be split away from it. Bash doing everything he can. He's going to be stopped in the box. Qin Duplessis, though, going out wide as we see Darren Miller. He lands off in the dirt, trying to pull himself back in order. And around the corner is Bash going. Bash is out. Will it be enough, though? Because here comes Dean Kabasa launching past, and now into the apex of the corner. We'll see Bashir Jadwat just ahead of him. Miller going and closing down. But now it's eyes on Qin Duplessis, who's hoping to get a little bit closer and hope that he can get that position locked down as much as possible. So, the trigger has been pulled, Yaneman. With 21 minutes and 10 seconds to go, we're going to see drivers starting to react to the situation. And let's see who's going to be able to have the distance to maintain their positions come the end of the race. Oh, contact! And that was Kleinans and Sanjan Pillay under braking.
Yeah. Got a little bit interesting there. But just a quick point while we look at this, Stephen. I'll come back to it after we look at this replay.
Let's go to the heli
Was
cam
it a-
with Tim.
I wonder if it a case or if it was a case that he was just blindsided or blindsighted and
Got caught out
caught
under
out by the
braking.
braking.
Yep, there it is. He tried going
yeah.
for the inside line, braked a little bit too late, and Kleinon's going into the side of Sanjan
It would
Pillais.
be proud.
It wasn't execution was there, but didn't quite pull it off the way he wanted to. So something to bear in mind. And I think, you know, that's what we've seen Kleinon's. This is the second time he got caught out in the hairpin, getting close to a driver, tried going for a gap, and unfortunately just missing out that apex. And I think it's that getting caught into the slipstream. You now essentially 5-6 kilometers faster into entry. It means you have to brake a lot harder to ensure that you get into the corner without a problem. And that's what the problem comes down to, is drivers underestimating how fast that entry is.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming back to the point that I wanted to make before we had a look at the replay, Jadwat is out in clear air. Well, except for
Tennis Bertha ahead of him.
Tennis Bertha ahead of him now. You know, he was in clear air before we looked at the replay, okay? it was a point of 2 minutes ago. Please excuse me. I'll serve my 3-month ban.
Yep, no, go sit in your naughty corner. That is for certain. But take a look at who still needs to do a pit stop. Ronaldo Boersma out in first place needs to do a pit stop, along with Nicholas Manuel in second, SESAS in third, Daniel de Villiers, Cameron de Bastos, Johan Kleinans, Sanjan Pillais, along with Jason McGregor and Tiernis Bertha still needing to do a pit stop. Bash right behind him. He's sliding the Porsche around. He did not change tires. He was only stopped in the box for 5.5 seconds. But you talked about a hot entry. Well, he got his entrance to exit was 29.8. So that is quick. He took off 0.2 of a second just based on pit entry. Dean Kabasa needing to pit, Darren Miller needing to pit, and Jaco Grobler needing to pit. Everyone else has done their pit stops and is still pushing as hard as they can. Ryan Ottens is down in 16th position, and for a person that needs to try and maximize his points in the championship, he needs to get past Bashir Jadwat, who has no problem getting past Buerta.
Yeah, Buerta in the pits, so that has released Bash, and now he's in clear air.
That's it. And I see Jaco Grobler
in my ear.
Yeah, Jaco Grobler going and letting Ryan Ottens go by. Gives him a flash saying, no problem, buddy, have a good one, and keep going as they make their way through. So just a friendly gesture of, I know where my race is, and you're definitely not in my race. So Buerta losing out 2 positions now as Grobler and Ryan Ottens comes launching past him. It's something to keep an eye out for our drivers. But now, what is going to be the way for people to react? Because currently, from 1st to 8th, they needing to get into the box. They need at least 35 seconds of spacing. And Ronaldo Boersma and Nicholas Manuel 1.5 seconds. And Bashir Jadwat is 8.5 seconds behind Jason McGregor. Got to do a bit of math in my head here, but I think Bashir Jadwat is very, very close to that 35-second mark.
Now, quickly having a look at the times on my side screen, and it is going to be a close one. I don't think Manuel can relax at this stage.
You know, Boersma, I think, might get a bit lucky on it if he can open up the distance, but Nicholas Manuel will definitely be the one under threat when he comes out of the box. Kevin Duplessis, he's after Darren Miller. Now, Darren Miller has gone and had a few off-circuit excursions as he's up against the back of Charles Darden, who's receiving the blue flags ahead of him, and is going to be saying, please mind out the way. Pretty pleased with the cherry on top and chocolate cake on the side, as Kevin Duplessis is gonna properly come at him. Looks for the inside line, not close enough to do so. Gonna try under braking. That Lamborghini just able to go a fraction deeper into the NGK chicane as they put the power back down. But Miller seeing Charles Darden just ahead of him. Charles going and scooting out of the way, saying, listen, you're not in my race. I'll adhere to the blue flags, give you a little bit of grace. And Miller's saying thank you very much. We're not losing too much time there, but Duplessis is on a proper charge to go and take that 11th place. Tries under braking, not able to do it. Looked for the cutback, but just not close enough.
Yeah, I mean, he's trying to tuck in under that rear wing of Miller right in front of him. But at this stage, not really close enough. Have to be a little closer than that, but Miller soaking up the pressure, not really making a life at all, and that easy for Quinn Duplessis. We'll have to see if we can get closer throughout this lap, closing up a little bit, braking and following that Lamborghini, getting very close now. It does look like the Ferrari is a little bit more comfortable throughout the corners, and can he get close enough? You can see there, Miller just, defending that inside line, positioning the Lamborghini in the middle of the track.
Slightly comes off that apex though. It looks like the front tires are not gripping up the way he wants to go as they make their way through the Schumacher.
He's got a little drive, running wide. That's it.
Duplessis getting by, and Charles Darden saying, okay, well, I'll come past you, and you're going to have to try to get past me again. But unfortunately, the front tires just not biting hard enough, and Quinn Duplessis just laying enough pressure down the road to ensure that overtake. So an interesting little run. But now we're into the 14-minute mark. Ronaldo Boersma still has not pitted. Now, I'm going to ask a very good question, because we've seen this tactic before. The last remaining seconds of a race. Are we going to watch these cars in the final remaining seconds get in and out of the box to ensure that they can keep ahead of Bashir Jadwat, who is on the charge? Looking at the lap time, so Ronaldo Boersma, last lap time, 1:55.8. While Nicholas Manuel doing a 1:55.5. Actually, quite quick there, 55.515. Where Essie Esther is in third place, not to take him out of the equation here, has got a 55.565, along with Daniel De Villiers doing a 1:55.925. Cameron De Bastos, a 1:56.510. And then you got Johan Kleinans with a 55.7. Sanjay Pillay, a 55.8. Jason McGregor, a 56.3. And Bashir Jadwat doing a 55.3 as his last lap time. So he's really hammering on the throttle, but not taking seconds or half a second off the times just as yet for the upcoming positions.
Well, he was so close behind Boersma when he pitted. It's literally a question. He can be 0.1 of a second faster than Boersma during the stint, and it would be enough to see him in front if Boersma if Boersma does his pit stop. Also, remember, Bash's pit stop was lightning quick, so that also played into his favor. So we've got a race on our hands, and as usual, we will only see how close that race is going to be once Boersma and Miller pits.
Yeah, no, it's definitely going to be a great one. Cameron De Bastos, though, has gained 10 positions from when he started. Johan Kleinans has gained 12. Jason McGregor has gained 14 positions. Dean Kabasa, though, has gained 18 positions. Still, those three needing to go and do their pit stops, so that will change. Jaco Krobler gained 12 positions. He's still needing to do his pit stop. But we do have a few retirements, and also take a look. Ryan Ottens being the biggest loss, starting out in third place, down 11 positions from where he started as Jaco Krobler pulls into the pit. So Ryan Ottens, further down through the field, is trying everything he can to salvage the drive at this point. And the Genesis team are going to be looking frantically of what they need to do to maintain their position. I know Ronaldo Boersma is going to be asking the question, guys, when are we going to look at pitting? Is the strategy the same? Is it going to change? Nicholas Manuel has now got Essie Estes all over the back of him as well. So Essie's going to try and push as hard as he can. Air Force One is ready for takeoff, has got the president on board, and is going to be firing off all jets as he looks for that second place. Now, Essie does have the advantage. If Nicholas Manuel box, he can follow suit and react to it. So Nicholas is in a bit of a compromising position at the moment, but these teams are going to be talking with their engineers and trying to figure out what's going to be the optimum, especially right now. They'll be talking to their teammates as well. Cameron DeBastos pulling into the pits. He's pulling in from 5th place. That's going to lose out to the likes of Kleinans and Sanjin Pillay, who are closing down the distance as well. Back up to the top though, SESA's all over the back of Nicholas Manuel. These two know each other very, very well. Not only here at Raceface, but also at Monday Night Racing, where the two of them go door to door with one another on more than one occasion. And now we're going to see it here at Raceface for the GT3 Sprint Series Season 10, Round 5. And, it's a mouthful, but this is going to be a very, very close race right through the field. And I think every single person is going to be looking at the clock and working out. But if this is what it takes, at least to have a 35-second gap from entrance to exit for a splash and dash, lots of notes are being taken here tonight. Data is being taken, and guys are starting to try and work out what do they need to do come tomorrow evening for the Grid Championship, powered by MTN, brought to you by Metal State and Raceface.
Absolutely, Stephen. And this battle between SES Rays and Nicholas Manuel, I think, both of them are trying to figure out what would be the best time to pit. There's not a lot of time left in this race, 9 seconds. This is the battle for 3rd place. Both of them still need to do their pit stops.
9 minutes.
So,
wouldn't be 9 seconds. 9 minutes.
Did I say 9 seconds?
You said 9 seconds. Look, we don't want to know how long you last, but, that's it. I'm talking about last in the seat. I'm talking about lasting in the seat. What? Get your mind out the gutter. Come on, all you guys, get your mind out the gutter. And Lecubasson saying his brake pedal broke. That is a proper mechanical failure. Much like a generator going, a brake pedal giving out. And that is why Lecubasson had to retire. All right, so Essie's into pits. There we go. That's going to drop him down the order. But Leclerc, my heart goes out to you, buddy. I haven't had a brake pedal break on me before, but
because Steven never uses it. They never break.
I'm not fast enough to do that. I've actually had in a real race car, no joke, where the brake pedal went to the floor, and that was due to the brakes got cooked. The brake fluid got cooked and went to the floor. And I can only imagine in the sim world at this type of pace, having your brake pedal giving up the ghost is the last thing you want to have. Sanjin Pillay on the inside of Kleinans. Kleinans trying to go around the outside. McLaren versus Ferrari. And it does look like Sanjin Pillay managing to get past. And Kleinans dives up on the inside. Two of them are going door to door with one another. That was amazing. That was a dance.
That's almost touring car racing.
No, that is a dance. Seeing that, and I'm going to point out, is like watching Swan Lake. It's seeing two people absolutely know what each other are going to do, countering left and right.
Swan Lake.
It's a beautiful show. I suggest
on the inside again.
He got the hairpin right. We saw the contact previously between the two, but yeah, if you do go watch Swan Lake, read the book first. You'll get to know what's happening. But Kleinans right onto the charge. Sanjin Pillay coming back at him. And these two are having an absolute slugfest right now. Kleinans and Sanjin Pillay. ZRC versus Hybrid Academy going back and forth at one another. But Sanjin Pillay is not going to back down. That Ferrari has got the straight line speed. Kleinans going and defending, doing everything he can to just go a little bit later on the brakes. That 296 Ferrari of Sanjin Pillay trying for the inside line, goes for it, hits the brakes a little bit hard, and Kleinans going out wide, does force him out, and it does look like, did I see that right? I saw Miller disappear off my screen. Or is that Jaco Krobler? No, it's Miller. Darren Miller has come off my screen.
Yeah, in the pits.
Oh, as we're watching this battle.
Got him in the pits.
Got him in the pits, but I don't know.
Not going anywhere.
No, I think
these two are still going side by side.
This is fantastic.
Still dancing at the lake or something like that.
I mean, this is absolutely just dancing between each other. And Ryan Otten's, into the door of Cameron de Bastos on turn in. Yep, I think the stewards are going to be looking at that one.
Yeah, we only saw the back end of that. Would like to actually see it again.
There we go.
What happened there? But
Tim, you've wished, and Tim will serve. So let's actually go on to Tim in the heli. At the time, you could see Cameron de Bastos just ahead, the PWSR car locking down the inside line, going under braking. Ryan Otten, so yeah.
oh,
Into the door.
Oops, a daisy.
Yep, that's going to be a walk to the COC's office, I would believe.
You reckon?
I reckon.
Boersma is in the pits. Boersma
Alright.
is pitting.
So Boersma's in the pits. Bash is in 7th. And fighting his way through this. Okay, you keep an eye on Boersma as Nicholas Manuel goes and takes a position. But where is Bash going to be? Was he close enough? Remember, 35 seconds needed for the gap. Was it
Boersma's
enough?
still on the way to his pit box. He has not stopped yet, only stopping now.
Okay, Bash is out of the final chicane, into the final corner. Jason McGregor into the pits. Johan Kleinant's into the pits. This is going to be close. Bash back onto the power.
Again.
He's down the main straight.
Still on limiter.
Oh, turn one's going to be
limiter now.
And Bash just
Got
coming
him.
past. Got him right at the last. Woo! We've got a race, boys and girls. We have got a race. And I see there is a bit of contact once again between Ryan Ottens and Cameron de Bastos. They're coming back at each other. And it looks like Cameron not backing down. Ryan Ottens doing everything he can to go around the outside once again. And this time, both of them keeping it clean, but keeping it close. And side by side, contact. Left rear getting a little bit caught out there. And a slight tail knock between the two. Heinrich de Wet and Tian's Bertha also landing up with a light contact between the two. But all eyes are on the front now. Nicholas Manuel, Daniel de Villiers, and Sanjan Pillay still needing to go into the box and do everything they can. Keegan Sorensen actually saying he's had a brake failure once and had to use engine braking and, well, had the engine screaming. Oh, if you're in the old high aces, I know from an ambulance side of things, based on what guys have said, they used to slam it down the gears in a Toyota high ace ambulance around Kailami, going from 4th into 2nd at the same time.
Doing laps in an ambulance.
Yes, in a Toyota high ace. So Nicholas Manuel into the pits, Daniel de Villiers into the pits, Sanjan Pillay.
Remember Kieran Duplessis.
Yeah, Kieran Duplessis in 6th.
He's lurking for that 3rd place.
Might go for 1st and 2nd at this point because he's doing everything he can. He's got
Nicholas Manuel is still stationary.
Sanjan Pillay carried on going. So Sanjan at the point of this, I think, is
only getting going now.
So Sanjan Pillay is the only car left to pit. He's currently in 1st place, and at this point is on a hiding to nowhere because when he stops in the box, he's going to have Bashir Jadwat, Ronaldo Boersma, Kieran Duplessis, Nicholas Manuel, Essie Esterhays, Giovanni Porzera, and Daniel de Villiers, along with Ryan Ottens, getting past him as quick as possible. So this is turning into a proper race down to the wire for all of our drivers. Nicholas Manuel is getting sick and tired of Essie being right behind him, and Essie's sick and tired of seeing the rear tail lights and is going to battle it out right down to the wire. Looks for the inside line, unable to do so. They are properly on a charge. Kieran Duplessis in 4th place, so needs to try and power away from these two because the last thing he wants to do is get caught up in this little fight.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much time left, Stephen. There's 1 minute and 14 seconds left. So I would say just one more lap of racing. Thing can happen now. Pillay still pit stop. So he's going to leave it until the very.
Yeah, I think that it might have been the... I don't know if the choice was the right one on this one because he's going to stumble down the order. rather quickly. And that's going to allow Bashir Jadwat to go and take first place. But he cannot take a breath as Ronaldo Bursma is 5 seconds, but gaining. Q and Duplessis will be in a net third place. Nicholas Manuel, though, and SESAs are going to take it down to the wire between the two of them as they are turning into a monstrous battle. And Essie is giving it everything he's got. And Jim just giving us reports. Bashir Jadwat is currently on his final lap. Ronaldo Bursma now on his final lap. Q Duplessis will be starting his final lap along with Nicholas Manuel and SESA Sanjan Pillay into the pits. He is dropping down the order like a lead balloon at this point. Giovanni Porzeros closing up on the back of SESA's. So now maybe Giovanni might come into effect and close down on this. So we may see a bit of a teamwork here to try and force Essie offline and to stop becoming a threat. Sanjan Pillay, though, getting himself going ahead of Cameron de Bastos under braking. Johan Kleinans has got Johan van der Merwe right behind him. So this is also turning into a monstrous battle right down to the wire. But I want to keep an eye out. First is Bashir Jadwat. Second, Ronaldo Bursma. Q and Duplessis in third place with that early pit stop. Nicholas Manuel and SESAs are going to take the fight right down to the wire for fourth place and looking to maximize, both desperately needing points for the championship. And this is where it's all come down to, through their last hairpin and getting back onto the power as quick as possible. Bashir Jadwat, though, he's making his way through the last little corners. And that Porsche looking a little bit squirrely under braking. Has to try and deal with it. Ronaldo Bursma also keeping the power on as he tries to close down the distance. 5.4 seconds, though. I think it may be a little bit too far back to go and let it go. As we follow our leader through. 3 corners to go. 2, 1. And Bashir Jadwat will be coming across the line if there's still fuel in that Porsche. In first place. So Bashir Jadwat taking first place despite the odds here for round number 5. Ronaldo Bursma, great fight, will be taking second place. Q and Duplessis taking an early pit stop, putting himself into third place with Nicholas Manuel right behind, battling it out, keeping Essie at bay. Giovanni Porzero in 6th place. Daniel De Villiers coming across the line in 7th place. Ryan Ottens who goes and finishes up in 8th place, going and taking some great points home. And a great recovery for him, especially after that drive-through penalty early on in the race. And might I add, he got 2 drive-through penalties that he had. So not 1, but 2 on my system. Sanjan Pillay taking 9th. Cameron de Bastos taking 10th. 11th is Johan Kleinans. Johan van der Merwe coming across the line, taking 12th. Jason McGregor. Ulrich Seckers taking 14th. Dean Kabasa in 15th. Justin Lotus will be taking 16th. But I do want to point out, Sanjan Pillay got a 132nd penalty.
Penalty, yeah.
Was it because he pitted out of the pit window? Yes! Would that? Yes, it would be.
But Wednesdays, I had a look. I don't think there is a pit window on Wednesday.
Unless...
that must have been, a penalty. Speeding in the pits, and there's no time to serve it.
That must have been it.
That's one of the dangers of pitting that late.
Well, Hansi Myberg coming around in 19th position.
Well done in finishing, Hansi.
Sean Viviers in 20th. 21st, Romani Yonka, Jaco Hrobler, Charles Darden, and Darren Miller rounding out our field. A couple of retirements like Lukubason that had a brake failure. Christopher Radloff, who had a mechanical failure. Tini and Kube. Daniel Dematros, Preto going and saying, unfortunately, his generator giving up the ghost. And Alan Patterson also coming and handing up with a problem. But take a look. Sanjan Pillay drops down the order to 22nd position. Yeah. So there's Hansi doing a bit of a burnout, putting on a bit of a show.
I think he's just too glad that he finished the race. And does look like he beached the BMW. Trying to do donuts.
Oh, man. It's, what a race. What a dramatic race. And Sanjan Pillay is going to be, well, not too happy with that one, I could rest assured. Alan Patterson saying, unfortunately, he landed up in a bit of a contact in turn 1, and that's why he wasn't able to get it across to the line. But what a race that was, gentlemen.
Absolutely. And before the race, they asked us to predict the top 3. I could not have predicted that one.
No.
Definitely
And
not.
how close it was down to the wire was absolutely incredible stuff. I take my hat off to all the teams, the drivers, everyone participating this evening. Nurburgring, a difficult circuit, and it really flipped things on its head, especially for this evening, and also having the likes of load shedding coming into play. Generators going and breaking down, brakes giving up the ghost as well. I mean, we've seen it all as we take a look at a couple of the highlights here. But Janneman, while we've got the highlights on, give us a bit of a summary of your thoughts.
Well, Stephen, we saw battles up and down the grid. We saw tremendously close battles. Unfortunately, there was a little here and there. But really unfortunate for Ryan Ottens. I mean, coming home in, what was it, 8th place. He is going to lose a little bit in that. So, there's still 3 races left. So we're gonna close this championship on a very exciting note. I have said that the grid is starting to close in on Ryan Ottens. I don't think he's going to be as dominant in the last race as what he was in the first 4. Tonight, unfortunately, with the jumping him dearly, and he'll have to try and come back next week to see if he can restore his dominance.
Yeah, and just echoing that, I mean, it's turned into a bit of a monstrous race, and coming down to the wire, guys taking lots of gambles, rolling the dice, some of them getting snake eyes, the others going and having a fantastic race. Well, with that being said, we've come to the end of our Raceface GT3 round 5 of the sprint series for season 10. Let's take a look at what's coming up here at Raceface for the week. We have got the Grid Championship brought to you by Metal State and Raceface and powered by MTN. And much like the segues that I was using last race, we're going to be having a bit of fun here at Nurburgring for round 4 of the Grid Championship. So don't go anywhere. It's going to be fantastic tomorrow evening. And you want to see the racing. An hour and 20 minutes, 2 mandatory pit stops, and the teams have got it all online for a massive prize pool at the end. Then we have got next week, on the 12th of September, not next week, the following week, we've got our TCRs on the 12th of September, round 4 at Okayama, the final round of our Raceface TCR Season 2 for the iRacing TCR Championship. Really looking forward to seeing how that's going to go and see how the guys are going to battle out. So far, we had 33 cars race in the last race, 40 drivers participated throughout the season, and it's all coming down to the wire with only 3 points separating first, second, and third in the championship. Then we have also got round 6 of our Raceface Automobilista 2 at Monza, 16th of September. Go and join in for all the fun. It is broadcasted live with our other commentary team. Great to have them around, and gotta say, really love seeing the cars battling out. Automobilista becoming a fan favorite amongst all of us. Also, F1 2023 at Raceface, round 7 at Monza. What would they call it? The home of speed?
Temple of Speed.
The Temple of Speed. That's it.
That's the one.
And used to be an oval, a big oval as well on it, which is the historic portion. Which is still remnants there. You can actually go and find it if you drive around. It's still there. It's in a dilapidated state, but it's there.
Yeah, and on iRacing, you can actually do the oval and the Monza lap.
Yep.
Bit confusing, but you can do it.
Go round and round and round. And moving on, next week, we head to round 6, Messino, for the GT3 Sprint Series Season 10. Messino, a very interesting circuit, one of the newer circuits that came around. And the last time we went to Messino, well, drivers had to battle it out with lots and lots of tire wear and trying to figure out what they can do to get the jump on everyone. And then next week, we go to the likes of the F4s, Alton Park, round 3, 5th of September. Janneman, you're in the car and going to be having a bit of fun at Alton Park in a single-seater.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a fantastic track for the F4. I think the layout that they chose suit therefore, because we only got the one, and then that last section, you know, those don't know how good it's going to do the tires, but I think it will be tremendous.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge amount of fun, that's for sure. And got some breakup on your side, and I think that is due to load shedding in the areas. And then this weekend, we also have the 6 hour at Silverstone for our endurance race. That is not to be missed. That is coming on Saturday. 6 hours of brutal team racing here at Raceface for the Endurance Series 2023 as we head towards the end of the year. Good to see it, and we will be seeing Silverstone having a bit of fun out there. Something that you and I are very familiar of, and doing some racing. Not necessarily in a GT3 car, but mixing it up in others.
No, we've done a couple of laps around it.
Just a tad. But all in all, what a great race for this evening for the GT3 Sprint Series here at Raceface. Round 5 done and dusted. Round 6 to come. And Yaneman, I'm looking forward to it. So, in closing, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to say thank you very much to all you joining here in the chat. Make sure you hit the subscribe button along with the bell notification icon. Share the link with your loved ones or anyone. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers. So close. Make a Christmas wish come true. It's like a Make-A-Wish Foundation wish. So please.
41 to go.
41 to go. That's all you need. 41 subscribers.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there we go, guys. 41 subscribers needed to get to 1,000. And for Raceface, it's been going on for a good couple of years. This will be quite a tremendous mark to reach out for. So please, we're asking everyone, go and give a Christmas wish out there for everyone. But thank you very much for joining us here. For all the teams, families, and also the drivers going and supporting the chat. Make sure to catch up with all you guys tomorrow evening for the Grid Championship, brought to you by Metal State Raceface and powered by MTN. On behalf of Yaneman Price and myself, Stephen Koenig, we'd like to say thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.